The receive there was trouble. Koki Niwa with a subtle topspin serve. The shovel coming around the outside of the ball. Very subtle on the contact. Mostly side spin, but just a little bit of top. Going for broke, trying to play the short side of the table. Again, a fearless Koki Niwa. Now don't forget, you can send in any questions you have on social media at ITTF World, hashtag Ask the Commentator. We'll be happy to take them for you. Thought that was a solid service. He seemed a little bit far behind the table and a little bit relaxed in a way, almost like a little bit of a half shot for that backhand, which he'd normally rip. The body language for me of Dimitrij Ovtcharov right now is the body language you would see of someone who's quite frustrated late in the match. I mean, it's only, what, a few points in now. 4 points have been played. And I've talked to Rostov about this quite a bit. But for Dima, if he believes in himself, and this is true of anyone, I guess, but he does tend to get a little bit questioning. And the doctor inspecting for a broken ball. No cracks, though. Still hasn't found his rhythm or his timing yet. When Dimitrij Ovtcharov settles in, his backhand is one of the best backhands in the world.
He's not really moving, is he?
Oh, looks a little bit slower than usual. There's a much better backhand, opening up deep to the backhand corner. You know, this is the backhand that's beaten Zhang Jiko on several occasions, including 2014 at the World Championships. 3-0 victory in the teams event. Pendulum serve and a follow-up forehand flip deep to the backhand corner. Nice combination from Dima. And we've talked a lot about how taller players can be very effective with their forehand flip with that reach over the table. Dima, one of the best forehand flips I've seen. Now those are more the caliber we expect. And Koki Niwa again keeping the racket head nice and high, short strokes confidently brings him back with power. Look at these angles. Koki Niwa inside out, right on the line on the forehand side. He's playing a very high-risk game. And I guess this is sort of his thing. From even off the table, we'll see him, but Koki Niwa is going to try to stay in again as the smaller of the two players. It takes him longer to cover the ground. But his change of pace, we see some variation of spin. Sometimes from that backhand, Koki Niwa doesn't tuck and loop like the others. It's a bit shorter stroke and more of a punch with less topspin.
It's played with very good feeling.
Heavy underspin on the pendulum serve from Dima. The contact right in near the body. A little bit more difficult to read. Soft spinny shot from Koki Niwa to hang on to a 4-point lead. Now Germany's had a lot of success in men's table tennis at this tournament, despite Ruben Filus falling after a valiant effort against Fan Zhendong. The crowd was going crazy, 4-2, I believe.
I rather felt that Filus, for 3 of the games, played way above his normal level. I mean, when I compare Ruben Filus just over 1 year ago in Kuala Lumpur, he didn't really perform there in the men's team event. But here, for sure, he went up a level. It was just maintaining a level above his level. He's in very quickly, stayed close to the table. Koki Niwa giving Dimitrij Ovtcharov minimal time to react.
And he did a good job to stay on top of the slower, spinny ball. It's absolutely crucial that a player comes in to take that as early as possible. And here's one of the signature and iconic serves of Dima, the tomahawk. And he has a few different modes with that. Typically, it's either side spin, underspin with side spin, or heavy, heavy underspin, which is quite common. And there it is, the heavy, heavy underspin. Difficult to read. The first time I played it, just for fun, trying to receive his serve when he came to the LA Open, 3 of the same serve in the row, right into the bottom of the net.
All right.
It's incredibly deceptive.
Love the backswing.
And part of it is he comes into the ball showing his racket on the side and top of the ball, but with the high toss and the way he leans, by the time he's contacted it, he breaks the wrist and comes underneath the ball. So that's 3 points in a row for Dima. Big point for Koki Niwa to take the lead back to 2 points and hang on to it. Again, the momentum shift. He was up 8-4, Koki Niwa, and now has 2 game points. So the third towel break of the game. I think Niwa decided quite late that he wanted to use the towel, but saw Dima going for a walk and realized he had some time. Might as well wipe off.
That's right.
Tomahawk serve coming back. Attempted chop blocky lob out there from Koki Niwa after a net ball recovered by Dima. 1 game point saved, second serve here to go. And the kicker, but the backhand rockets across the table. 2 game points saved, and Dima taking it to deuce in game 1. You know, when I talk about high pressure serves, Dima, again, one of the best players in the world, but I've seen him make some service errors in very tight matches and tight situations, so bravo on 2 serves played. And Koki Niwa right back to recover.
Quick first attack. It'll be interesting which service he comes up with. He said the kicker last time. That's the service that Scott Pot's been on. So let's see what he comes up with. See, one thing about Ovtcharov, he will innovate.
When a backhand's hit that hard, it's going to be really difficult for Koki Niwa to come back in. He's going to have to find a receive. And there's Jenny Ovtcharov, the wife of Dima and mother of Emma, in the crowd. As a former player, and of course, huge supporter of Dima, she is incredibly focused right now.
Maybe a bit nervous as well.
Oh yeah. Don't try talking to her during one of Dima's matches.
Oh, fighting.
Backhand, amazing off the table, counter crossing the court. I mean, this is the real power. I've seen some of the best rallies from Dima against Pham Jandong looking a lot like this when he's driven off the table. No time wasted. The first opportunity to the backhand, confidently rips. Game point to Dima. Beautiful backhand. Pick a spot on the table. He can go either corner. He's changing up the patterns, and what a comeback from down 4-8 in Tomahawk serve in the third ball backhand attack from Dima. Just unstoppable. Koki Niwa is going to have to find some answers in the receive game once again as Dima starts off continuing the Tomahawk serve. That's the heavy underspin. It's so tough with the wrist to see. And quick to get into the second point.
Well, if he needed an injection of confidence, having trailed throughout that first game and then coming through to win it, I mean, that is a massive, massive boost.
And that's another one where when you watch Koki Niwa, we talked about how relaxed he looks and sometimes like he doesn't even care. Unfortunate for Koki Niwa to miss the shot so early in the rally, especially when it's put up high. We've seen a chop block attempt. We've just seen some different shots. Koki Niwa still under the spell from game 1, the second half. Beautiful. This time the chop block comes onto the table. Now Koki Niwa is one of 3 players that so efficiently and successfully uses that shot. Ma Long, Adriana Diaz, and Koki Niwa. And it leaves a lot of awkward side spin and puts Dima in a position to make a more defensive touch shot. And the follow-up attack from Niwa to win his first point this game. He's trying. We see him looking. He goes for a flip this time, but predictably to the most safe spot on the table, and Dima gets there.
I think another point about Ovtcharov when he's playing, when he attacks from the backhand, he changes the direction very late, and that does wrong foot opponents. Okay, that wasn't an example on the last point, but going a few points earlier, changed the direction very late indeed.
Yeah, you're right, and that's so useful. The later you can change direction, the less time the opponent has to prepare for it.
Now, the belief is increasing in the mind of Dimitrij Ovtcharov. The crowd's behind him. If you're Japanese, you might think that he stole the first game, but my word, it's given him a boost.
That's a surprising way to win a point. Change of pace nonetheless, but softly receiving the ball, backing off the table a little bit, getting into a backhand blocking game for Koki Niwa mid-distance. I don't think he's going to be trying to do that too much consistently, but maybe just to mix things up, test the waters. Short side of the table, a bold shot. High risk, high reward for Koki Niwa. It's really been a lot of back and forth here. In the beginning, Dima, we talked about his rhythm. He didn't seem to have it. Second half of game one, he couldn't miss. And starting this game, it was the same. And for the last 3 points, Koki Niwa taking it back. It continues, a 1-point game. If I remember correctly, Dima was up 4-0.
Yeah, 4-0, then 4-1, yeah. Keep up the tempo of his play.
Oh! The first ball was so difficult, the touch shot. And when Dima unloads like that, the timing, high risk right off the bounce and to the short side of the table. This is a 10 on every account here. I mean, difficulty, performance, all the judges would hold up a 10 on their scorecards right now for that shot. Wow. Who do you turn to when that happens?
Yeah, I think Ovtcharov thinks, yeah, I played the point perfectly correctly. It was the sensible thing to do. And then somewhere from nowhere, Koki Niwa produces that absolute blinder.
Well placed on the body, closer to the elbow this time. You know, I told you about India Open. I remember it being relatively close. Turns out it was game 7, 11-8 in the 7th for Dima. So that match really could have gone either way. This should be a close one as well. Going for the big counters. Koki Niwa gets one backhand rip in. This is my favorite point of the match so far. It's explosive power again, both testing. Niwa doing whatever he can from both wings, moving back into the table here. And Dima turning around with the big strokes for the forehands. Dima's a big guy and solid build too. He can hit the ball quite hard when he gets the swing. But a bending ball, a little bit of side spin from Niwa makes it bend out of reach on the forehand side. No, he thought it was over for sure. Steps around, grunts, serve comes too long, or so it appears. Watch this one more time, a big swing, Koki Niwa's there. That's frustrating for Dima. I mean, yes, it's not easy to recover from that shot, but the ball, he sticks his arm out, he's got a chance to at least keep it in play.
Well, that's 2 points this game. Ovtcharov thought he'd won and won clearly, and so did I. And Koki Niwa's stolen it.
Now this is again that handcuffing serve where Koki Niwa's tried the flip, and when he went out to the forehand, Dima was there for the third ball that was too powerful, so he tried to move it, played into the body more, but it's the shorter side of the table and difficult to control. The adjustment is made, reads it well, shortens it up, low to the net. 9 points each. Now as the excitement continues to build, just to let you know, this is live television to 125 countries. This is a huge, huge event for table tennis. 350 million expected viewers, 600 media representatives from more than 30 countries. Records being broken left and right, and that's got to be Heinz the Hornman. Push finds the net. Well-placed serve, the shovel serve from Koki Niwa. So with all the game points he had in game 1, couldn't take the game, but here, sure to do it. Inside out forehand down the line, 11-9. And Dima looked a bit frustrated. We'll try to find out what that was when we come back from this short break. Stay right here. Game 3 coming up after this. Back for game 3, and the wave is back in action. The crowd has become the ocean here around the table. Dimitrij Ovtcharov on the receive, tied 1 game each, and Koki Niwa with a quick start for the step around left-handed specialty. Haven't seen a lot of that from him this match.
No, I think the important thing for Koki Niwa is he stays close to the table. Ovtcharov has slightly longer strokes. Koki Niwa has the quicker strokes. But we've mentioned, I think, some 8,000 people in this hall, and maybe 7,999 in favour of Dimitrij Ovtcharov. But if one person will not be affected, it is Koki Niwa. And that forehand topspin, well, that just underlines the young man's talent.
No, that makes it. I mean, the shot before was such a just caution to the wind. Caution to the wind, go for it and walk away shot, but this last one fans up and out, posing. So the 2 points come right back. Dima converting his serves.
Mistake.
That receive is a very unusual receive that's also quite recognizable, where the pinky sort of comes up and the racket grip changes. It's almost like a little shovel with the racket head right down to keep it short right off the bounce.
But here I think you highlight a reason why Ovtcharov is such a world-class player, because he's prepared to innovate, he's prepared to do things that are different, he's prepared to do things that suit him and suit the way he plays.
Yeah, and that's very smart. I mean, ultimately you want to create a game that brings your weapons into play. If you know you've got an outstanding third ball with the forehand, you need to have serves that set that up consistently. Dima was some of the most original, iconic serves in the game, probably alongside Ding Ning. And he learned a lot of them from his dad, Michael Ovtcharov, who was champion level in '83 in his region of the world. Again, down the line right off the bounce, Koki Niwa, so compact, short, quick strokes. You know, I think some of the most spectacular points I've ever seen Koki Niwa play were in the All Japan Championships, where he'd come spinning through the table, turning his back and punching the ball. We'll see him do that from time to time, but still no ballroom receive. I think we called it the ballroom reception. It looked like a dance step with that backhand chop.
Some good descriptions here, Adam.
Gotta have some fun, right? Doing a lot of tournaments
Yeah,
every year.
you're making me think.
Trying to be an innovator like Dima.
Absolutely, why not?
Nice parallel shot to the short side. What are you thinking?
Yeah, no, what I'm saying here is Koki Niwa, playing right-handers, will normally be able to get wide angles out to the forehand, but Ovtcharov is that little bit different. He plays much more from the centre of the table, a bit like Koki Niwa's colleague Kenta Matsudaira. Playing from the centre of the table, it's much more difficult for Koki Niwa to get the angles. Dimitrij can cover the angles from both backhand and forehand, and of course it gives him chance to execute his stronger side, the backhand, which we saw there. and then plays his backhand, it flies long. But Koki Niwa is going to be very, very difficult if he keeps staying close to the table and playing quickly. If he backs off, I think Ovtcharov is just too powerful.
Right, and by build alone, you know, the taller players, wider step, cover more ground a bit easier, wider wingspan. So that's one more reason Koki Niwa will have to stay close. And he does, comes in the Chiquita with power. And I was looking to see, it almost looked like he signaled timeout, but no, just a towel break.
That was exactly what I thought. I thought, well, this is not the right time to go for a timeout, but I thought he made the signal as well. Yeah, I did as well. I would concur with you.
Maybe from the camera angle he was doing something else, putting his hand to the racket, who knows? And when we saw the stats between games, it showed how much Dima does play to the backhand of Koki Niwa. In the last game, and I think if the statistic was for the match up to this point, a very high percentage to Niwa's backhand corner. But he's mixing it up here. When forced into the other side of the table, we'll play it out to the forehand and middle. I thought Dima was out of the points. Positioning, I was a little surprised to see a touch shot from Koki Niwa, but that's another thing that makes Koki Niwa so tough. His element of surprise. He saw Dima backing off the table a little bit, tried to keep it short and earn himself the next attackable ball.
Yeah, that's right. He produces something from nothing.
Top of the net and just out. Dima continues his streak and steps into the lead.
But with Koki Niwa, sometimes just trying the extremes, for want of a better phrase, he does make mistakes. Maybe sometimes just tries to do that a little too much. But there, look at his hand skills. Tremendous hand skills. Very short stroke, good use of the wrist, control from the elbow. The ball's going like a rocket.
Yeah, now Koki Niwa is so good, as we talked about, with creative shots and touch. We see a very varied backhand. I mean, he's punched the ball, he's looped it from off the table, and here he used a very wristy backhand opening shot to tie it up, and now has two serves. Oh, too wide, no chance, not even with the wingspan of Dima. And it starts with the parallel shot right into the backhand to set it up, get Dima going a little bit behind the table, and then he's got too much ground to cover. Nice combination and quick decision-making from Koki Niwa. Surprised that one sneaks under the racket. Heavy topspin from Dima. Not the biggest shot, but enough to cause some trouble. Third towel break of the game, and Dima, again, every game has been so close. I don't think there's been a game so far won by more than 2 points.
There's nothing to choose, there's nothing to choose at all. It's, to some extent, it's the question whether Koki Niwa is going to produce the ridiculous.
Right. That's why we love watching him.
Absolutely.
You really never know.
You're just not sure.
Oh, beautiful backhand. Looks much like the backhand that won game one at a high deuce. And there's Heinz the Hornman. Whoa, we got a few other people following. He's marketing himself well. We've got 3 hats with the pins just the same. Soon everyone's going to be in the crowd with Heinz the Hornman shirts. Game point for Dima. Oh, long push to the backhand, and the balance for Dima looked a bit off for that shot.
Just not quite there, was he?
Yeah, we didn't see the effort. We often hear that sort of release of air when he goes for a big shot. Didn't happen there. That felt like the first 5 points or so in game one.
Now, Ovtcharov must have it in his mind, can I topspin this service? Yes, good.
Well played, keeps the pace on corner to corner, forcing Koki Niwa to use those feet and really run around the backcourt. Koki Niwa has also been quite effective when Dima's had the slower spinny shots of staying on top of it, either punching it or inside out forehanding it back.
Yeah, the fact he stayed close.
Koki Niwa with a fist in the air. This is just an incredible point. The angles he's created, he's really testing Dima all around the table. We got backhands and forehands from both sides. If you go down the checklist on this point, they both got it all, and it takes everything to finish it.
The key to this point is balance.
Right, and Koki Niwa is so balanced with his low center of gravity. Even in that finishing ball, he had to put some side spin on it to bend it away.
That's right.
Too fast, too furious, right off the bounce. Dima with the backhand. And that fist was held there for some time.
But there's the point. On that point, Koki Niwa is forced back. Ovtcharov can force him back. Dimitrij is going to be the favourite time and time again. For Koki Niwa, he must stay close.
Indeed, game point to Dima. Backhand's too difficult, and he uses it well. A clutch game to take the lead. It could have gone either way.
Prima Dima.
I was like, Prip?
There's a Prip there somewhere, wasn't there? Yeah. Oh, well.
Either way, no pips on the racket for Dima, but a 2-1 lead, and we'll be back. You had a chance to see the wave there as we come back for game number 4. Dimitrij Ovtcharov, once again in a very tight battle. Again, 2 points have decided every game we've seen so far. 13-11, 11-9, and 13-11 again for the King of Europe, Dimitrij Ovtcharov. I don't know if I've seen him do that on court before, that little fast footwork that we see Tomokazu Harimoto and some others do. Different game plan. Niwa trying to get in very early in the point, because once Dima opens with that powerful backhand, which has won him 2 of the games, it's just not quite hopeless, but the percentages go way to Dima's side.
But you've hit the nail on the head there. Koki Niwa in quickly. He's the favourite.
Difficulty on the receive. I haven't seen too many of the backhand serves from Dima that he does. One of 3 of his signature serves, I'd say.
Just gradually over the years, that became more and more exaggerated to the service he has now.
And interestingly enough, over the years, I feel like it's become more and more understood by the receiver, too, which is why against some of the top opponents, we see a lot of pendulum serves from Dima, nothing too fancy.
I mean, one of the important points is that we compared Dima Ovtcharov with Kenta Matsudaira, played much more from the centre of the table, release the powerful backhand, cover the angles, and of course that service where he goes now out to the forehand, this will enable him to play a strong backhand on the first attack. So quite rightly, Koki Niwa goes out wide to the forehand.
And interestingly enough, Dima opens with the forehand. He immediately steps around, and again, this is credit to Koki Niwa for...
He anticipates.
Right, he anticipates, deters. Okay, saw a little change in speed there from 66 to 41.
Now you've confused me.
Just on the screen.
I've got to do my homework on this one. I was a history teacher, not a mathematician.
So we're getting dead even. I'm thinking about that backhand serve. It would make sense that most of the table is your backhand, so it should earn him the 3rd ball to the backhand side more likely than other ways.
I mean, we can go back, we can look at Zoran Primorat's Tibor Klamper. They were very comfortable serving from the middle of the table with the backhand, and if you speak to Primorat, he will tell you he felt he could control the service better.
Right, in doubles, I much prefer to serve from my backhand when I'm playing right-handed, partially because I'm out of the way for my opponent to have a 3rd ball, but also the control for the short serve and subtle spin variations are much easier. Had a chance to see Primorad's here. Man looks like James Bond. He's incredible shape. I think recently, I haven't seen him on the World Tour. It's been a little over a year now, maybe, that I've seen him play.
No, he's here been giving workshops on, shall we say, life after professional table tennis. Yeah, I did it with him the other night. It was good to meet Jockey again. Never became world #1. Came so close, but never made it. Twice won the Men's World Cup. Olympic medalist with Lou Polescu, men's doubles semi-final, 1988 in Seoul.
Lou Polescu, one of the most celebrated U.S. players.
Yeah, that's true, isn't it? Yeah, that's right, yeah.
So big point there for Dima. Again, the backhand. You know, I think back to the greatest wins Dima's had in that 3-0 victory over Zhang Jike in 2014. The backhand was the key ingredient. It was just unstoppable.
No, after Dima, when was it? So with 2015, he beat Janjika Qatar Open, and Dima was very, very clear that Janjika is one of the best backhands in the world, but he felt he could match that backhand, and that gave him an advantage.
What a cool thing, not only to be able to say, but to possess, to know that you can come in with that confidence.
Yeah. But there we see again the backhand very, very effective, but I think for any young player that you need to know that you have something on which you can rely at 10-10.
Right, when the pressure gets thick, what do you go
really
to?
Rely on it. You know Ovtcharov, he knows he can rely on that backhand topspin.
And we saw it so many times in game one.
Something on which you can have 100% trust.
I'm trying to read the differences when he tosses.
See it, can you?
It's difficult. When he tosses the ball out wide to the forehand, it seems a little bit more likely. You're thinking placement on the hand?
I'm thinking placement on the racket. Sometimes he will be making contact at the bottom of the racket, come under the ball to create backspin. Sometimes at the top of the racket, the ball will hardly touch the racket, and therefore there'll be no spin.
Right, this is another thing that I think a lot of mid-level players don't consider, but where on the racket they hit the ball.
The elbow didn't work.
And just to stay on that point for a moment, when you are serving, the toss is up to you. You're so clear on where the ball is. There's no rotation on it yet in general. So you can control it, hitting it up near the hand more, at the edge of the racket. And a timeout here. So it's on the side of Dimitrij Ovtcharov. An important call here, Jörg Roskopf again. When he talks to Dima on the timeouts, is mostly, I mean, they're going to talk strategy a bit, but a lot of it is belief. Don't worry, you've got a strong backhand.
I think that looks like the message, doesn't it? That the hand of Jörg Roskopf was, look, he's doing backhand again.
Right. The placement of the backhand, where to use the backhand, but just the demeanor on his face, the way he talked to Dima, you could see there was sort of like a don't worry sort of vibe. Be calm, be cool, you've got it.
Do what you're good at doing.
Right.
I don't know what he told Koki Niwa, do something ridiculous.
Which is what he's good at doing.
He will, won't he? No, the message for Koki Niwa, stay close to that table.
Absolutely.
For Ovtcharov, get your backhand in as much as you can, but keep playing from the middle to cut out the angles that it's possible for Niwa to get.
Right. And we'll have to look, it depends again. Serve-wise, we've got Koki Niwa on the serve. Anything he can do to either play it really wide and out of reach, or a little bit to the forehand side of the elbow from Dima, staying in close to the table, I think is going to be to his advantage.
The only question I put over that timeout is Niwa having the next service.
Right. It almost feels like a timeout for the opponent more when you call it on your receive.
I think it's good to take the timeout when you're ahead. I agree that with Dimitrij Ovtcharov. If you do it when you're 1 point ahead, you've got your own serve to come, maybe even more effective. We see. It's minimal decisions, look. I mean.
And there's that backhand, sets it up with the serve. So 1 point lead for Dima's second serve here.
Oh.
Backhand once again, reliable as you said, Ian.
Absolutely solid from that side.
And I'm looking, this toss goes a bit wide to the forehand side. So far, that is where I've seen a bit more of the underspin, but the ball jumps across the table, so maybe it's mostly side. His disguise of the serve is so good, and it's a clean toss, and it's clean contact. It's just very subtle. 2 game points for Dima to take a 3-1 lead over Koki Niwa. Well placed, low to the net, half long, forehand side of the table. One of my favorite things about sports in general is watching the faces of the players up close and personal in front of a sold-out stadium in the high-pressure moments, just sort of trying to understand what it might be like to be them. Oh, beautiful block like a wall. Manages to keep the racket on top of the ball while he's backing off the table. With all that power coming in from Dima, it comes back quite fast.
But it must be quite difficult to keep your focus against somebody like Niwa, who just now and again produces something ridiculous.
We still haven't seen the ballroom reception.
Oh dear.
Well played, topspin deep to the backhand, and Niwa with a game point now. Again, that sort of sigh there, that release of air from Dimitrij Ovtcharov after losing that point. Trying to get a fresh breath in here, release any bad energy he has and get positive before this point.
Oh.
That's surprising. A kick, the second bounce, and it jumps out to the edge of the racket. Goes for the backhand attack, but no dice. Another 2-point win, and it's Koki Niwa to tie it up. We're tied 2 games each. We'll be back for game 5 right after this. The players come back for game 5. Despite this being Billie Jean, I think this game will be a thriller out here. Dimitrij Ovtcharov has no timeouts left. As you mentioned, Ian, he had the game point, he had the lead, came back after the timeout, but couldn't convert the game. Good opportunity for a 3-1 lead.
I think that's a very, very big opportunity. It depends, well, from both players' point of view, how they react from that. Ovtcharov had a big, big chance, as you just said, to go 3-1. We've changed the ball.
Now, mentally, that is quite different. You know, Dima's had some incredible wins and, again, has just dominated the game in Europe for the last several years. But I do think that when it comes to pressure, that's when some of the serves start going off the table. A few of the ends become untied. Although 11-8 in Game 7, that's how India finished in favor of Dimitrij Ovtcharov, the king of India as well. Ooh. Okay, I think that stayed on the side of Dimitrij Ovtcharov based on his body language. That's right.
To be fair to Dimitrij Ovtcharov, in the big matches, he has responded every time. I mean, he's tended to respond. Okay, you'll take me back maybe to, where were we? World Championships in Suzhou. He went out first round to Lee Sang-soo.
That's right.
Yeah. But since then, I think the record has stood up very well.
Yeah, I mean, as far as the matches go that he's expected to win, and even some that maybe not, there just aren't many. You know, he's world number 5. He's only got the 4 top Chinese players in the world in front of him. Occasionally, Jun Mizutani's back and forth, but the body language here, you can see the disappointment, but he's moved on. He's already started to shake his head positively. Yeah, that ball, it's unfortunate at this level when you miss a shot like that.
Ooh, so fast.
You know, we were talking about pressure. My favorite performance from Dima that I've seen, I think other than maybe the win over Zhang Jike 3-0, was a match that he didn't win, but where he was up 2-0 against Fan Zhendong and the ball broke at deuce in game 3.
That's right.
No! I want to see the speed on that shot. He snaked it up, a little after motion. I mean, this is Koki Niwa. This is what makes him so fascinating. You don't see after motion in the middle of a rally very often at all. On a serve, yes, but this ball's above the table too. And he touches it with side spin and immediately throws his racket the opposite direction to add some confusion and hesitation. Let's see if we can see it. Not there. The ball from under the table, top of the net. That's the one. Look, look at that.
Go on, how do you describe that shot? It's not one of your ballroom dancing strokes? No?
That's not a ball, that's a snake.
Oh, snake,
It's
is
an
it? Okay.
over the table snake.
I'm learning, yeah.
You know what? The snake is almost always under the table.
Oh, okay.
I don't even know if there's a term because it's no one does that. I don't know if I've ever seen someone over the table do an after motion in the middle of a rally.
No, exactly. But I wonder this 6-2 lead, to what extent is this because Koki Niwa came back in the previous game?
And we're seeing all sorts of threads coming loose here. Dima tossing the racket there, turning. The body language is not positive right now. It's understandable. I mean, despite the score and the opportunities he had, Dima knows he can be playing better than this.
Well, nothing's gone right for Dimitrij Ovtcharov this game. He's not moving, and he's making, for his level, unforced errors.
We've seen a few for sure that are going to go down that way in the statistics. That's a big shot. Deep to the corner.
I tell you, if that had have come back from Koki Niwa, he just shut his eyes and swung at it. I don't think his eyes are open here. Just have a swing. Dear.
All right, we see some positivity in the step and the vocalization here. Dima trying to pump himself up, get some motivation.
Just gone through a bad patch, hasn't he? About 2-3 minutes. It's well below his level.
Right, and that's a long time when you're looking at an 11-point game. I mean, Koki Niwa to go up 8-2.
He's got the crowd, and he's looking to be back in motion.
Good start to the point. He waited patiently, focused on spinning the ball in. Good distance, good depth on the table from Koki Niwa. And combination, too. The first ball, spinny, comes at him. Dima's over the middle of the table, and he plays it back deep to the backhand, gets him off balance.
Terrific.
And right down the middle, too. Dima tried to cover that with his backhand. It's a very difficult ball. Oh, my goodness. Look at that smile. Yeah, you?
Hello.
He's talking. Oh, man. Just give us a few minutes with the cameraman. Edge of the racket. I had to wonder, it went off screen for a minute if that ball was going to come down. The only reason I assume not is we're watching Dima and you could see Roscoff starting to look back. Koki Niwa, as you mentioned, wants to stay close to the table. In this point, exact opposite. But 5 game points left for Koki Niwa. Dima's second serve here. Powerful shots. The first forehand from Koki Niwa was much like the Dima forehand, just swings so hard, and it comes back in play, but he's right back there, well balanced, and Koki Niwa takes a 3-2 lead. We'll be back for game 6 right after this. And as the players come back to the table, you can see 100% service points won by Koki Niwa. Whenever he had the serve, he won the point. And also, as Ian just brought up, this was the only game that wasn't close. Every other game was a difference of 2 points.
That's
this
right.
was 3 times that, a 6-point differential for the win. Now, psychologically, that could cause more of a scar on the mentality of Dima than any other loss yet, although the game before might have affected the score of this one quite a bit.
I have every respect for Dimitrij Ovtcharov. Now he has to get his head together. He just wandered a bit, I think, that last game.
Right, and that's definitely the task, right? You lose 2 games in a row. You have a chance to be up 3-1. Suddenly you're down 2-3.
That's exactly the right thing to do. Just missed the timing a little, but that is exactly the right approach. Credit to Dimitrij Ovtcharov. I know he missed, but that is exactly right.
And similarly in the coach's corner, Jörg Roskopf on his feet, trying to will some positive play out here into Dima. Oh, just missing the table. This looks like an exhibition point. Of course, they're both fighting incredibly hard, but Niwa able to lob it back on the table. 89 kilometers per hour. That's the fastest I've seen on screen.
But I'm pleased to see the momentum which Dimitrij Ovtcharov's come out with this game, the tempo. Much faster tempo than I saw last game. This is much, much better from Dimitrij Ovtcharov now. If he can keep the tempo up and the crowd can lift him, and Roskopf can jump up in the air and motivate him, then let's see. That's correct. I know again he missed it, but that is the correct attitude. Keep going, Dimitrij Ovtcharov, for the sake of Germany.
Yeah, that shot, Koki Niwa going in big. It's not as easy as it looks, even though he leaves the table open. But I have a feeling Dima will make more of those shots throughout this game.
That's the approach that Roskopf will have wanted to see.
Right.
That's it, strong.
Yep, the first one a little softer and spinny, and as soon as he knows it's coming back long, he's got the placement. It's in his sweet spot. I talked yesterday with Gavin Rumgay about sweet spots, and Fan Zhendong seems to have enormous sweet spots on both sides. What are you thinking, Ian?
Roskopf's on his feet.
Once again, at this point of the match, I don't think we're going to see him sitting too much. That angle's just too wide. Koki Niwa's been creating that from early in the match.
It's a clever length service, though. It caught Dimitrov in two minds. The length of the service was spot on.
Right, and you could see Dima was already behind the table by quite a bit by the time the third ball was coming up.
That's right.
And that's a compromise. You back up to give yourself a little more time to recover and keep the ball in play, but then you have to cover more ground side to side. Up to the corner, beautiful punch shot. This is the type of shot we've seen Niwa making throughout the match. And Dima indeed. Again, explosive power forehand to forehand, and he's caught up for a moment, but makes a quick decision to use the backhand and guide the ball back to the open forehand side of the table.
Winning a point like that can have a massive, massive mental effect. Things are going my way now.
Right. They're all worth 1 point, whether it's a push into the net or a long rally, but it's those long rallies that people remember, players included.
Well, you win a long rally, you win a point where you've had to have extreme accuracy. Everything like that can build up. Okay, again he missed, but that's the right way to play. Positive, positive, positive. And you cannot give Koki Niwa time.
Well, Koki Niwa has done an excellent job of playing it a little bit more to the middle. Now, as a taller player, Dima does have a middle that's bigger than others. And like Samsonov, for example, covers the middle with his backhand because it's a much more efficient stroke. Dima's not as flexible in the wrist when it's played to the middle. That was too good. I mean, the chop block left low. The touch shot looked like it was around the net. I don't know if we'll get a view of that from the side of the table. But he played such a gentle touch shot, and Koki Niwa still kept that side spinny ball in play for the forehand loop. Outstanding play once again. It was great patience there from Dima to play the ball big with the backhand after the softer spinny one. And then he gets the forehand in too, but Koki Niwa's right there to give it back. Again, both wings from Koki Niwa, we're seeing counter loops at the highest speed.
Well, if you looked at that rally, Dimitrij Ovtcharov had the advantage on the first two balls, and give great credit to Koki Niwa, the way he stayed in the rally and then turned it to his advantage.
Now, this was a much more successful setup. That tomahawk serve, he tends to get the backhand he wants. I can only think of 1 point where Koki Niwa had a receive that really deterred the third ball attack from that tomahawk serve.
Now, Ovtcharov's strength is strong with the first backhand.
And we've got the timeout for Koki Niwa. Again, he's leading 3 games to 2. He's still in the lead. This could be the end of Dima's tournament, despite being 2 matches deeper than he was in 2015. The overwhelming majority of the crowd would not like to see that happen. They want to see Dima continue, a chance to have a German in the final.
But of course here, Japan, I mean, this is a new Japan, because we saw them last year Olympic Games, we saw them World Team Championships, silver medalists playing extremely well. Now, just less than 24 hours ago, mixed doubles gold medal. I worked it out that Maharo Yoshimura, he's coming away from this tournament with 2 medals, bronze medal in the doubles. This is really a new era for Japan, and I feel there's a new feeling and new confidence in the whole of the Japanese camp. They're all fighting for each other, and maybe it has effect on Koki Niwa here. Now, Ovtcharov, first backhand if you can. That's clever from me.
Oh,
and he got it.
Good. I mean, the step around attack from Koki Niwa, it looked like the point would be over for sure. This is an all chips in shot from Koki Niwa. The opening attack from Dima, and right down the line, a parallel early off the bounce attack from Koki Niwa. This hasn't come back. This rally, if it happens earlier in the match, ends 1 shot earlier, but well anticipated from Dima.
Oh, what a shame, because for me, he was playing correct to his off drop. He was just maybe, what, half a yard too far back.
Well, this is, again, it's a shame for the home crowd, but for Koki Niwa and the nation of Japan, I mean, what an impressive display. These rallies, Koki Niwa's in near the table. He's dealing with parallel shots with the most powerful backhand in the world, maybe.
Whoa! And this is it. I mean, this is where I think coach, player, what are you good at? You are good at backhand topspin. Go out and do it.
Yeah, he's done it from both sides of the table here. Forehand and then quickly shifting over to cover the cross-court shot from Niwa. The combination again. He spins it up with the soft backhand first. Spinny follows up with the punch, and by punch, I mean ripping backhand, going for the winner, and then creates the angle by going down the line and then cross court.
But I'm surprised that Niwa played every ball to the backhand.
Right, and you mentioned it earlier, but Dima more in the middle of the table, like Kenta Matsudaira, is a little bit tougher to avoid.
Oh, for sure. Out to the forehand, Niwa. Yeah, that's better.
Just long in the counter.
So close.
I was wondering how long, you know, and this is always the question. When you've got the backhand that Dima does, he's won points like this, countering backhands from way off the table. He can lob for a long time. And for Koki Niwa, again, about 5'5", a little bit under, maybe 173 centimeters or so. It's going to be very difficult to stay on top of some lobs. Just long, just missing the back edge, and we are at 9-all in Game 6. 2 points away from Game 7 and 2 points away from victory for Koki Niwa.
And the same as what the first 4 games.
That's right.
Pick a winner.
That is the biggest backhand we've seen on a receive yet, and Koki Niwa goes bold, but it catches the top edge. Dima with a game point to send us once again to a deciding Game 7. Grab your saddles, Game 7. Dima sending us there with a backhand off the bounce that we have not seen yet. The crowd on their feet. Get comfy, get your healthy snacks. The decider's coming up right after this. And here we are where we want to be. It's game number 7, Koki Niwa with the serve. Now, Ian, you were talking about a good 80% of the points that Dima's won using that backhand attack.
It would be interesting to look from where were they, about 8 or somewhere around about that. The percentage of the strokes that Dimitrij Ovtcharov he played from the backhand. And yes, I mean, that is exactly what Roscoe should be saying to him. Your strength is your backhand. Play it as often as you can.
Right, and similarly, when you're on Koki Niwa's side, you've got a very small percentage of the table, which is the forehand. How can you earn that forehand? And if you do play to Dima's forehand, it's more likely to come back cross-court deep into the backhand, where Koki Niwa loves to turn. But if he does, if he turns early, Dima can play it short to the forehand side.
I mean, let's put this in context. Dima's forehand is better than the most of humanity. It's just that his backhand, in my opinion, is slightly the stronger side. I mean, the forehand's reasonable. Yes, reasonable.
Yeah, that's right. Going to the forehand is not going to be a walk in the park for Koki Niwa if he gets to deal with that opening attack. And I think your opinion there on that forehand backhand is probably the overwhelmingly popular consensus there.
See, look, backhand. Oh, don't run round, not necessary, but he got away with it.
Wow, that's...
Stay there with the backhand, stay there. Not necessary to run round. He's not fast enough against Koki Niwa to run him round.
Yeah, he convinced himself that he wanted to take that shot and managed to get the upper body out of the way despite the ball being deeply into the backhand side of the body. Wider and wider. Every shot in that rally was a forehand for Dima. And the first several were good. One shot that's really difficult to make for Dima when he goes down low here, to sort of center yourself when you're that tall and your center of gravity is moving so much. I mean, Koki Niwa's balance is incredible, but he's starting from a very different place. Tomahawk serve coming in big here. Misread from Koki Niwa. Once again, out of his seat and on his feet. Georg Roscoe in the corner. While it is a singles sport, at the professional level, it really feels like a team sport when you've got a coach in your corner.
Yes, I think that you want to know that you have Yushuki Kurashima from Koki Niwa's point of view. He knows at least he's got one person in this room who wants him to win. And he can look at him and he knows there's somebody there that's on his side. There's maybe a few thousand not, but very fast. So fast. And that is the key to Koki Niwa winning this table tennis match. If Ovtcharov has to nullify this fast forehand somehow. How big's the next point?
Yeah, well, we'll see. They're going to be switching sides of the table when one player reaches 5 points. And there are no timeouts left. Now, if I recall correctly, before 11-8, they were going back and forth in Game 7 in India earlier this year. So, who knows? I mean, it's still quite close, and this point will be the difference between a 3-point lead at the switch and a 1-point lead.
Could well be.
Too quick off the bounce. Koki Niwa doing his work and staying in close, taking it early. You know, you mentioned it earlier, Xu Xin stealing the game from Lin Gaoyuan.
Yes, absolutely. Highwayman.
Down 5-10. Was able to save 5 match points.
But of these 5 points he's won, what percentage has he drilled the Ovtcharov forehand? I reckon he's won 4 out of 5 playing out to Ovtcharov's forehand.
Well, this is a good plan to have, and he's definitely sticking to it and executing. Again, you can see the persistence, the backhand wide to the forehand, and then he tries to play it once again. You know, if you're on Dima's side, that analysis you just did, you have to imagine he's doing pretty quickly as well, saying, look, I get it. He's playing me to the forehand. I have to leave open the backhand a little bit more. And he does twice in a row. That one might go down as an unforced error. It wasn't an easy shot, but Koki Niwa definitely had the space on the table. You can see him looking at the arm, trying to loosen up the wrist a little bit, keep the blood flowing, not tighten up.
Oh, great recovery.
Absolutely. Again, these powerful shots on the step round. I thought when Dima powered up on the forehand, it'd be over. Niwa almost brings it back to the back edge. That's a 3-point run for Dimitrij Ovtcharov to recover from when they switched sides and he was down 2-5. And now he's got the serves to take the lead. Why not the tomahawk? I'm just wondering. I feel like it's been so successful. Then again, he was down 5-2 in this game, and he used it a lot.
$1 million decision, isn't it? $1 million question.
Right, and again, hindsight, it's easy to say after the point's over. And he goes back to it.
He's listening to it. Just try to get the back end. Yes. Oh, what a shame.
Just didn't move in. It seemed like he was reaching out in front for that last ball.
Fraction hesitant.
Yeah, a little bit slow on the feet for that one.
But you called it, and first backhand, it was correct.
Yeah, he's been very successful doing that. When the ball comes just off the table long, he spins in the first backhand, keeps the pressure on Niwa, who's not able to hit a super powerful shot, and then he gets the strong backhand to finish the point or really turn up the pressure. Too difficult. Again, that bending inside-out forehand. Well played. Again, into the middle and then wider to the forehand, but he's favoring the forehand side. He's sticking to that plan. Watch it here. Serve wide to the forehand, one ball to the middle, and he gets Dima to run around it.
Look
and
at
it leaves open. I know. Koki Niwa's naturally lower to the net, and he can do that cross the body, add a little bit of side spin, and this is a left-handed specialty. Well, this is going to be tough. I mean, we saw in the match before, 5-point lead, 5 match points.
Now, that is some of the most emotion I've ever seen from Koki Niwa. Did you see the clenched left fist?
All right, fast serve, playing some risks and opening up with the forehand. Dima saving 1 point. This is where a timeout was called in the match before, earlier on. I think Lim Gao Yuen calling it from 9-5 to 9-6. Wow, bold play, 2 long serves in a row, fast to the backhand, and a much better response from Koki Niwa, and you can see behind the camera, supporters for Dima getting really into it here, trying to will him through. It's just a 2-point game again, the last game of the match. Wow, off the bounce. He just doesn't stop taking the shot wide to the forehand, and there's no time for Dima to recover.
Now, that's about the maximum of emotion I've ever seen from Koki Niwa. Fist was in the air, yes. My word.
Three match points to Koki Niwa. Perfect shot down the line. He lobs it up, and Dima has time to run around and put it away. Match point saved.
Look at that, packed. Absolutely packed.
I feel nervous for the crowd right now. Dima saves 1 match point. He's got 2 more against him. The quality of shots coming in. Look at this risky ball out to the middle from the forehand. And if you see Koki Niwa not even reach for it, you know there's no chance. Once again, a beautiful shot comes back off the bare hand. Now it can hit the hand of the hand holding the racket, but so fast, and it was the long serve once again from Dima, long into the backhand. Saves another match point. Second serve. Oh! 11-9 in Game 7, and there's some emotion for you. What a performance. You can't play a point much better than that for Dima. A solid handshake and an early exit for Dimitrij Ovtcharov, world rank number 5. You can see the hands-on faces of fans here in the crowd. But Koki Niwa adding another big name to the list of people he's beaten recently. Outstanding match point, 11-9 in Game 7. And Japan, the land of the rising sun, might be raising their flag again. Big smile from Niwa as he looks into the camera to move on. Again, only one game, not decided by 2 points, if I remember correctly.
Well, yeah, it could have been 4-0, couldn't it? In either direction. But